Jemma Beech is an artist from New South Wales who released her album That's Just Me in 2018 and has a new single called You Fool. And we're going to talk about that and some other things Jemma does. Hi, Jemma.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm very well, thank you. And I'm going to start right with the single. I'm sure you have a musical history we can talk about. Well, you do, because I mentioned the album, but I thought I'd start right now with You Fool, which you co-wrote with Rod McCormick and Sally Barris. And so, Rod does a bit of writing with people. Had you written with him before?
We have actually been writing for a few months, and there is actually songs that we've written and completed, and I think we will release in the new year. But this one was actually the last song that we all jumped on, and they actually started the co-write without me because I actually drive dump trucks in the mine. So on this particular day, I was coming off night shift, and there was no way I could be in the right headspace to do a co-write, but they got the song started, and then a week later we jumped in the studio and finished the song, and I just absolutely loved it. It's definitely a song where they got to know who I was, so they knew where the ideas I wanted and the storyline. So yeah, we nailed it.
I am going to now ask you about dump trucks and mines because I had a question later on, but you've raised the subject. So the first thing I'm going to ask is, how it, I suppose, interferes with your musical life, because night shift obviously would make it tricky if you booked a co-write weeks ahead and then suddenly you find out you're on night shift. So have there been a few times where it has mucked you around schedule-wise?
Not really. We do get our set rosters in advance. It never changes. The only thing is if, there's other people out there who have their set roster and it's like, that's the only time they can do. So I know well in advance where I'm available and where I'm not. And you know what? It sucks because I do miss out on a lot. So as of January 2023, I will be starting part-time in the mines. So it will free up a lot more time for me, mentally, physically, everything. I cannot wait to sort of get my health back on track.
Right.
That's definitely something that takes a toll on. Plus, life in general. I not just a normal person who has one job. I have a music career that I'm very passionate and I love so much. So it's kind of like the main focus, and then the dump truck driving will sort of be the little job on the side.
Because you have worked in mines in Western Australia. You're now living in the Hunter region in New South Wales and working there. So look, it really does beg the question, how does one get a license to drive a dump truck? Or do you need one?
No, you don't need one. You actually need a driver's license. Where I got my start was in Western Australia and up in the Pilbara region, and you had to be a resident in the mining town.
Right.
So I had a friend of mine, Cara. She is the businesswoman behind Cater Boot Co., who are an Australian designed Western boot company. And so she and I got in contact via Instagram. She lived in Parabadoo, in this little town in the Pilbara. Told me of the opportunities they have there with getting into the mines. So she kind of helped me get into the mines, but guitar in hand. I lived out there. I got to work on different cattle stations. I got to go to the Karajini National Park. I got to perform in all these little outback towns. Oh, wow. And I wrote a lot of songs out there too.
Because I was thinking about you writing songs. It's like, because some musicians say, I get great ideas when I'm in the car and I can pull the car over and write them down. I'm thinking if you get an idea when you're driving a truck for your job, you probably don't have the ability to pull over and write anything down.
Well, that's right. And especially a big dump truck, like they're, like 500-ton trucks. So when you're fully loaded and, but, you get a couple of minutes when you're getting loaded under the digger. So I get the pen and paper out then. I always have so many ideas. It's a great time for me to switch off because we're not allowed to take our mobile phones out into the pit. So it's completely, you're in the dark, you're out switched off from the world. So it is a nice time to get that break.
Yeah.
Because life can just be really full on, but then it's like when you do have a good idea or a melody, you can't record it, so you're singing it over and over again. You have to write it down, and hopefully by the time you get home you remember it.
Yeah.
But like definitely heaps of inspiration driving the dump trucks. It's not an easy thing to do. Very draining and mentally challenged sometimes, dealing with everyone. You're all stuck in the same place. But I've got a good crew. I really love the people I work with now. And yeah, it's just balanced out that when I work my 5 days on, I get 5 days off. So those 5 days off, I'm really just enjoying life and doing gigs and connecting with people again, catching up on emails and all that sort of thing. So on my 5 days off, it kind of seems like I don't get a break.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm full on all the time.
Because you're running your other career as a musician. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So you were saying when you were in WA, you were playing in some country towns, and I imagine just because of the remoteness of some of those locations that there's perhaps not a lot of music going on. So I'm hoping that means it was fairly easy for you to get gigs.
Yeah, definitely. I am one to really just go to a town, introduce myself. I'm just a country singer who wants to share her music. Would you like to book me for a gig? And it was really as simple as that. And some towns, some pubs don't really do live music. So they really enjoyed the fact that someone's in town and they're just down the road, or they can, do a song. So they put on music festivals, the Mines out there. They put on, community events. So as soon as they found out that, our country singer was in town, I got to sing 3 hours away in the next town, 2 hours away in the next town, 6 hours away in the next town, because that's how far these towns are. And they're only like 2,000, 3,000 people. And it's very much a family community, very much they love getting the kids out and doing family events. So for me, it was so much fun connecting with everybody, and it was just amazing.
Yeah. Did you find that, because that means you probably have more experience playing in WA than most country artists have you found that the audiences on the West Coast, or Western Australia I should say, are in any way different to audiences on the East Coast? I'm wondering if audiences on the East Coast, because there is so much music, are maybe more blasé about live music.
I mean, the attention, the audiences, they kind of, they just love to have a good time over there in Western Australia. They just, I don't know, they really feel the connection over there. I think that people in general, whether it's you're at a music event or not, are a lot, I wouldn't say slower, but it is a different pace to the East Coast. So people are very much more connected and down to earth, and they don't have those busy lifestyles because they are just in the one town. Their husbands or the mums, they're in the mines, and then they take the time off on the weeks off just to have family time. And so it was quite the change for when I left the Pilbara and when I come back to the East Coast, because I had gone into that slow paced, laid back kind of attitude and vibe. And when I come to the East Coast, even just driving a car, it is a rat race over here. And I'm like, just chill out, everybody. This is madness. But it soon catches up to you, and then you're back into the way things are over here. So that for me was really interesting.
Yeah. So I'm not sure of the timing of when you were living in the Pilbara, because I'm not sure whether there are songs that you wrote about that time of your life that made it onto your album. Is that how it worked out, or was it different timing?
Yes. So I went on tour with the Sunny Cowgirls. I got a phone call to join their tour in 2016, and I'd just done the Senior Academy of Country Music in 2015. So I'd released one song then called Stuck in the Mud, and so that was like a fun full drive, hanging out with your mates kind of song. And at the time, I was going to B&S balls, rodeos, really country events where there's so many young people that come and travel for so many hours just to be there for one weekend. I don't know if you've ever seen those utes with the big flags and the aerials, and so it was a big outback country party, and that's where I spent my weekends, is going to them and then connecting and getting to know the organizers. Then the year after, I'd be performing there.
Wow.
Like I really was in that sort of area. And then once I got on tour with the Sunny Cowgirls, because they've sung about B&S balls and, drinking and partying and all that kind of scene. So I knew where they were at and lived that. And then I wanted to go more into the performance side of things, and being on tour and traveling on the road for, 3 months, we did the whole East Coast. It was a big eye opener for me. And just the experience and the opportunity that I had then, I met the producer for the album on the road, Rusty Crook. He is their guitarist. So he got to see me perform at every gig. So he really got to know my voice, my style. At the time, I was co-writing with Jake Sinclair and Luke Austin, co-writing with another lady, Jo Casely. She's helped me do a song about my heritage. And it was just these little co-writes, and we sort of pieced it together because I was singing those songs live. And Rusty's like, all right, I can see where we can produce this one and then do, put this in that song. And it was happening over that period of time. So that was, 2016. The year after, he said, all right, Jemma, if you really want to do country music and you want to be an artist, then let's go to Nashville.
Right.
So I was like, okay, let me just scrape up some money. We did 2 weeks in Nashville. I went with Rusty and his beautiful partner. We had the best time. It was so much fun. So that was 2017. Then when we got back, we recorded the album, put it all together, because I finished off some songs over in Nashville. I met a songwriter at one of the conventions that I went to. We just networked and we ended up finishing that song, which is I'm a Girl. And I did a music video to that one as well, which was really fun. Jay Sini directed that one, so he's doing so well now. So that was back then. And then it went into the album release in 2018, which is when I got the opportunity to travel to Western Australia.
Right.
Yeah. So it really happened over all those years. The Senior Academy, I guess, really kicked it off. But I did do the Junior Academy when I was 17 as well. So, it's just been one of those step-by-step processes, and connecting with people, meeting people, trying to get my experience, really immersing myself in what it's like to be the audience and everything like that.
Because I knew about the Senior Academy, and I actually had a question, because you've helpfully introduced the subject. I didn't actually know you went to the Junior Academy. So what did you feel that doing both offered you, I guess? Because some people might say, oh, well, Junior Academy, great, you've learnt quite a bit, but it's quite a commitment of time and money to go to both.
Yeah, definitely. I was at the MacArthur Country Music Club, which is a club back near my hometown and that one was held at Campbelltown. So I lived about 30 minutes away in a small town. So it really gave me the stage and the platform, because the Country Music Club was pretty much like a walk-up. You'd go out and play with a band. And then I met a girl there, Amelia Richards, who's now married to Matthew McNeely. So they've got their duo now. But at the time, Amelia and I, we sang a lot together, did all the Talent Quest circuit, things like that. Then she sort of introduced me to the Tamworth Country Music Festival scene, or the Talent Quest that they do there. And then the academy was like, this is what we're going to do. If we're going to do music, let's go to the junior academy. I was 17 at the time. Mum came along. She loved it. Mum loves to sing. She really wanted to probably attend herself. But yeah, so having her support was amazing because she actually probably made more friends than I did. The networking my mum did and the help that she gave was really where, what led me to where I am today, because without all that, without getting me an ABN to do gigs and invoice and do all the business side of things, I wouldn't have learnt all that stuff. So that's what mum learned at the academy. I learned, I got a mentor like Amber Lawrence. She was my mentor.
Right.
So she got to, get involved with us and helped us get on stage. She even gave us a few support act gigs. So yeah, it all started back then, and then just keep going back to Tamworth Country Music Festival, keep staying in contact with everybody, and just one thing leads to another.
Yeah. And so then going to the senior academy, I suppose obviously your mum didn't go with you to that one. That was just you on your own.
It was. I packed my little car up and headed up to Tamworth all by myself. At that time, I had my license, so I was fully independent and doing gigs. And yeah, it was a great time and met, some great people. And Lynn Botel was my mentor at that time. And we had Carl Brody, who was our songwriter mentor. And he actually opened up so many doors for me with songwriting. I felt like as a mentor, he really told me to dig deep. And at that point, I was only just doing covers and performing other songs. And I was really tapping into like that Gretchen Wilson country music and Miranda Lambert. I just wanted to be that powerhouse rock chick, country rock chick. And then so songwriting really started off for me at the Senior Academy. So that was 2015, and a big shout out to Roger Corbett because he helped me get there. At the time, I was going through a bit of a rough patch with a boyfriend, at the time, and I just was getting lost and redirected, and I was like not feeling good at the time. So when I got accepted to the academy, and then I said, I don't think I'll be able to afford it. So he really helped me set up a possible campaign online. He helped me do the video for that. And it was just amazing, the people that come together. And obviously he's seen something in me and felt like I needed to be there. And I'm so, so thankful for him for that.
Yeah, it is one of the lovely features of Australian country music that there are artists like him, like Lynn, like Amber, who, they don't have to spend time with anyone else if they don't want to. But I guess it's been going on for a few generations of artists now, not just generations of population, but generations of artists where they've had some assistance themselves and they know the positive impact it can have. I mean, just to have someone put you on a support slot is great experience.
Yeah. And talking about support slots, only this year I got to open the show for Andrew Farris.
So that's a good one.
That's a good one. And that is a big thanks to my friend Kaz Waters, who, she's been living in Singleton. When I moved to Singleton, we connected and caught up, and, she's well involved with the country music community. And yeah, she's given me a lot of confidence as well, and really wants to, help me in my career, which has been so nice. And that's the support artists need, is someone to believe in them and to help them on their way. And that's something I've definitely learned over the years is, I've always strived to be this independent woman who can just do it all by herself. But the reality is you need a team, and you've got to let people in and let people help you. And that's what I'm really starting to learn, and it's starting to show. So I'm really grateful for that.
Well, I'm going to circle all the way back then to Rod McCormick, where we started talking about writing with him, because he also produced your single, which is You Fall. I'll just remind people. So I'm wondering, given that he was a co-writer and the producer, I imagine he felt a very strong connection to the song he was producing, and that can only have been a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, we've recently met because I've been mentored for the past year now with Gina Jeffries.
Ah.
So being mentored by Gina. I've sort of been not so private about that. I've done a few posts about the mentoring, but I've really just wanted to focus in on where I'm at, reflecting on where I've been and, the whole journey of everything. And so has a great sense of who I am. And so she's passed that on to Rod. And then, getting in the studio with Rod, we've done a few Zoom songwriting sessions, connecting with his contacts in Nashville. So they really see something in me and want to help me now further my career, which is just so amazing and encouraging. I just feel like, okay, I'm doing something good and I'm definitely on the right path and I'm going to stick to it. I've been sort of in and out, traveled. I'm starting to feel like I found my roots. I found my home. I'm really settled, and just immersing myself in more music is amazing.
And your home, where you are now, the town, is actually featured a little bit in your video for You Fool. That's where it was shot. It was made by Jeremy Manette, who's someone else who's in the country music industry. So how did you come to work with Jeremy?
Yeah, so his now wife, Max Jackson. I met Max when I did my first one of my first talent quests when I was 17. Come up to the Central Coast, and I think Max, I think she'd won it, or she was very much involved in it, and I just remember idolizing her. We're pretty much the same age, but I was like, wow, like she's obviously done it a lot longer than I have. And so we become friends. We lost touch for a fair few years, but since coming back to the Hunter Valley, I reconnected, and I said, hey, like I'm living in the Hunter Valley now. It's very close to Newcastle. Would you like to catch up? So she said, yeah. So we started writing some songs together. She then introduced me to Gina Jeffries, and then that's how that all started as well. So yeah, big shout out to her for helping me through that. But yeah, I met Jeremy. He's obviously now in the Viper Creek Band. So I've known the Viper Creek Band for many years as well. They've had me as their support act for a few shows, which has been great as well. So yeah, we just all stayed mates and just everyone's friends, and we just it's all about connecting and seeing if they're available. And so he was, and he actually shot my music video for Gravy Train, which is a track I released just over a year ago. But obviously the pandemic and everything, I didn't really get to give it a good shot. But yeah, he produced that one and it was great. So I had to have him back.
So it seems like, you've mentioned writing songs with Max, writing songs when you're in WA, and working with some co-writers in Nashville as well. So there are obviously some songs brewing. Are you planning to record a few more, maybe an album? What's ahead for you in 2023?
Yes, well, like I said, we've got some songs that Rod and I have been writing together. We're really trying to hone in on, who I am, and like, okay, so what's it going to look like if we release these songs as singles and then put them together as an album? What's my story going to say, and how's that going to look? So we've really been focusing in on getting it right. I mean, nothing's ever going to be perfect, but it's just been so exciting to really focus in and do a plan. And so I've got about 3 or 4 songs ready to go. Right. And I'm really excited about them because I guess I'm turning 30 in December. So I'm really entering a new stage in my life personally and in my music career now that I'm putting a lot more focus into it.
And giving yourself some more time for it, because as you said, going part-time in your day job, although it's not strictly a day job because you sometimes have night shifts, but for audiences who don't know You Fool is a great introduction because it is a really upbeat track. I've been tapping my toes, I've been nodding my head, all that kind of stuff, and the video is great as well. So Jeremy did a wonderful job. And so Jemma, I hope we hear those new songs from you very soon. And in the meantime, thanks for talking to me.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me.